we've started a community starting to put together and grow. How useful has it been to sort of learn from anybody else who's been making web series?
Oh, wonderful. I really love what you've done with British Web Series. Your meetings that you have been wonderful. I've met some wonderful people. I've also been shown where to go right and where to go wrong. I think sort of, Meet the Adabanjos is quite possibly a brilliant success story, and the producer could have been an arse, but you know what? He is so lovable and approachable. And there are people who've sort of, have got shows that have got like 5 hits, and they are the worst kind of arseholes in the world. It's like, I think when you are doing web series, there is community out there, and you are not better than anyone else. We are all here to help everyone else. Don't put yourself in a little ivory tower. New Eden, I love Brad at New Eden. Love you. Love this girl. I love you all. But then there are people who come across as arrogant, and it's a real shame, because I may not watch your show if you're arrogant, and I may not sort of, push it as much to my friends and my viewers as another show,
Occasionally The Guardian or similar papers might have an article online about, web series you need to watch, and always it's American shows. What do you think the British web series need to get up there and just finally be noticed just by the British press?
Baby steps.
Wow. Yeah. It comes back to that sense of awareness and marketing, and I mean something like the Guild or whatever has been going for 5. This is the 6th season now. It's been going for years. It got in there right at the beginning, and things like Girl Number 9, but that had the backing of the people behind Torchwood, and so it has. They've kind of the Guild's got a time advantage. Girl Number 9 had a money and profile advantage, but even so, yeah.
I mean, the interesting thing, of course, about Girl Number 9 is that they couldn't find a UK platform to host it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's only available in the US.
Really? Yeah. Oh, because they had their own website. It was online through their own website at the time. I remember that.
Yeah, but it linked back to Fear.net's upload, and of course Fear.net is geo-blocked for the UK.
Right. Ah, interesting. I did not know that.
So you were illegally hacked?
No, it had a website. Girl Number that can you catch her or can you save her.com or something. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a great kind of hook and what have you. But yeah, it was online through there. But they're now not doing that, presumably. Now it's just through Fearnet.
They've got the rights back now, so they're going to be able to broaden it out.
But then all the platforms are American, or I think they are all American actually. Thinking about it, and I don't think it matters that the platforms necessarily are American, because that the internet is global, so that's fine. I think with mainstream media, it's always going to be hard to get them to be in any way interested in something which isn't obvious, or which doesn't just kind of stand up and shout and have a lot of money, or somebody famous or something behind them that gives them a story. I mean, there is a story in British web series, because there's some amazing series, there's some brilliant creators, there's some great stories. But from a mainstream media point of view, if you haven't got a big name in it, or if you haven't got a lot of money behind it, or blah, 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 then they don't see that as a story. They don't see creation in itself, or talent and ability in itself as a story, or, fighting against the odds and all that kind of thing, or however you want to kind of romanticize it. They don't see it as a story unless it's got a big kind of flashing sign that says, I am a story on top of it.
Like Alan Partridge going to Sky because it had been a web series. Yeah. I think, but it's Alan Partridge. It should be... It was always going to be on TV at some point anyway.
Exactly. And that just requires mainstream media to have a little bit more imagination, basically, and not be quite so kind of closeted and blinkered. But, that's a problem across mainstream media. So, that's not going to get solved anytime soon by us talking about it.
I think what we need is the sort of, we need to almost sort of, I'm hesitant to use this word hipster. You know,
Yeah,
it
don't
is
use
like
it.
web series could be seen as like the hipster bands. You know, sort of, you know, the bands that sort of, you know, nobody's ever heard of, and then suddenly, you know, The Guardian will eventually. What we need is The Guardian to find that one show. And if you just produce a show, don't, for Christ's sakes, shove your thing straight at The Guardian. You know, create a relationship with somebody first. There is nothing worse than a new producer of a web series crashing somebody else's party. I don't know if you've seen stuff like Web Series Wednesdays and those sort of web series chats when somebody who hasn't bothered to research it will come in and say, "Oh, by the way, watch my show," and then you will get people to go, and you're there at the computer going.
But they do have moderators against that.
Web
Series Wednesdays and Web Series chats, for those who don't realise, are Twitter hashtag feeds that happen on certain days and certain times, and people get together and talk about a particular topic.
The last 5 minutes, you can plug your show in the last 5 minutes.
They allow you to do that. Yeah. It's the same as anything else, though. I mean, it's kind of what you're talking about in that you only need one person with any kind of media influence to pick up on something and have the courage to run with that and to talk about it and so forth. And then all the rest of the little sheep will come along and talk about it as well. But it's about engaging that one kind of person that has some degree of influence to bring it to a wider public. Either that, or you have a breakout series or a breakout actor or somebody that's in one of these many series that then goes on to mainstream fame in something else, which might happen for Mary because Holly's in Nicholas.
Well, Holly's in Nick Nickleby. Craig is any chance that Craig can get his kit off for the gay press. He will, and he does. So we've got Jenny. Tom is very, very up and coming. I mean, the good thing about the Bloody Mary show is that all actors are very up and coming. So up and coming that I am dreading doing series 2 because I don't know who's currently available. You know, and we change one of the characters halfway through. I am not doing that. I am not recasting, you know.
Regenerating?
That is something that, I mean, we should talk about is sort of that we aren't ashamed to say that we recast a character halfway through. We had to take our original timing. We ran out. We ran over schedule, and so we had to take time off to get more money together and to come back and finish it off. And one of the performers was not available. It's Malevolent. Now, in episode 6, we reintroduce Malevolent, and Vicky, you were sort of, you were really against this because what we did was we had to acknowledge the fact that we changed the actress.
Yeah, it was just the second half of the line.
It was the sort of, we
had discussions.
I don't know
that.
if you want to see the clip. It's where she comes in and she's, I've changed my face. I've changed my face to get away from my mother.
Yeah,
and
which works. That works fine.
Yeah, we had to. We could get away with it in our show. We had to acknowledge it. And so we have Amicus going, is that your friend? But she looks different. And then our dad says, oh, it's a shapeshifter. And he goes, oh, shapeshifter. Yeah, I can buy that. And then we carry on with the story. That was sort of, that was how Roseanne did it. You acknowledged the fact that you have changed it. Yeah. And, when Tanya came in, she did such a good job.
Yeah.
James Bond, when they first changed him to George Lazenby, they did have a joke in there as well.
Did they?
This never happened to the old guy. That was the other guy. Yeah, that was sort of, you can acknowledge, and you should acknowledge, and don't treat your audience as fake. Treat them, get them in on the joke. There were things that I sort of put my foot down about, and there were things where I was like,
Rainbow Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Rainbow Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was sort of, saying, you, what have you done? And we did butt heads, but you know what? It worked. I think we worked really well together.
I think, ultimately, absolutely.
Because we would sort of we would have to be the grown-ups.
Yeah.
And exactly what you think happens. Sort of, we go behind closed doors. We sort of walk into a room like this, shut the door, and then we are rolling on the floor laughing. Because we have to be there for each other. Sort of, director, producer. We worked so well together.
Yeah, I think so. yeah.
Well, you get a great sense of fun in when you watch Bloody Mary show. The characters themselves looks like they're really just enjoying it. So that must obviously reflected of how you were running the set.
Well, we weren't goofing off. We were serious.
Oh no, very serious. But I think, and I always like to do this with all sets, is you have to keep it on, especially when you're working really long days, and you know nobody's getting paid on it, and you know everybody's kind of tired, and you know whatever. And especially if anything goes wrong, you've got to keep morale up. You've got to keep a really kind of light-hearted, friendly, comfortable set. If something goes wrong, yeah, you can go into a room and you scream, or you're kind of or whatever, and you come back and you're all smiles, because it's not.
That happened
at the end
often.
of the day. It did happen a couple of times, but that's because it's from their point of view, from everybody working on its point of view. You can't in any way. If people are giving up their time and their energy and their talent to pull together and do something, the worst thing you can possibly do is have it feel like it's sinking. It can't sink, so it has to stay up. And
I think one thing. Building up on that, one thing that is the curse of low budget and no budget, especially in this country, is if you have a crew and cast working for you for free, treat your cast and crew like gods. They are dedicating their time for you. We could not afford to pay anybody. What I did do, say our call time was 7 a.m. I was there at 6 a.m. prepping. Everybody as soon as they got there, they had a cup of tea, coffee, bacon sandwiches. I made sure that they were fed, that they were treated with a smile, and people were coming up to me going, "Why are you doing this? You're the producer." And I was like, well, first, I enjoy getting my fingernails dirty, and you guys are all dedicating your time to me, so this is the least I can do. I heard from our production manager, who will remain nameless, works on another film, and it didn't work out for them, and the director sort of, she emailed the director and said, "Look, I'm really sorry, this isn't working." So the director responds in an email and says, "Well, I'm sorry, you're a nice person, but you can't be a nice person and a good producer." And I went ballistic at this. I had to be stopped from writing an email saying, "Who the fuck do you think you are? You've treated your cast and your crew like shit, and you're wondering why they're rebelling." That is something that sort of, hate that.
Yeah, it's massively important to feed everybody. Absolutely, rule number one: hot food all the time. Overfeed them, so that they can never, ever, ever be worrying about where something's coming from. There's always water on set or snacks or whatever. And the other thing, you need to keep set really happy. Basically, keep it light, keep morale up. And make sure the work gets done, obviously, but you have to keep a really kind of positive attitude on set, because if for a second anybody thinks that it's sinking, if things go wrong or whatever, well, you keep that to yourself. It's not, everybody is working together, like you say, giving their time and their energy.
People get tired, they get grumpy. If they see a chink in the armour, they will tear. It
falls apart, and you can't do it. The other thing is absolute, practically military organisation, which because if you're, you've got very little time, you've got very little budget, etc., etc. You need to absolutely know, how long it's going to take to make this character up. Make sure you're not calling people in ridiculously early, because this is going to take longer. Setups, etc. Go as fast as you can, and just kind of being on it in terms of knowing exactly what you're doing, when you're doing, and how you're doing it, because all of these little things are slight little kind of glitches go wrong, and it becomes, they build up, and then the whole thing tumbles down. So it's just about knowing what you're doing, when you're doing it, how you're doing it, and food. Always food.
Feed people.
Feed them.
And the good thing about, if you're constantly feeding them and you're the producer, you have so many packets of crisps left over at the end of the shoot. I didn't have to buy crisps till February.
Take the flyer. Stage B, 2:30. Right. Take the flyer.